The door God closed was the door that would have destroyed you. Trust His protection. Have you ever cried because one door closed? A relationship ended, a job disappeared, a dream collapsed, a prayer seemed unanswered, and you asked, God, why? Why now? Why me? Why would you let this happen? Maybe you're asking that question today. You smiled in front of everyone, but secretly, you're exhausted. You're trying to stay strong, but your heart feels heavy. You don't understand what God is doing, and the silence makes everything harder. But what if the greatest blessing in your life isn't the door God opened? What if it's the door He refused to let you walk through? Think about that for a moment. Most people thank God for open doors. Very few thank Him for closed ones. Yet sometimes the closed door is the miracle. Not because it feels good, but because God could see what you couldn't. He could see the heartbreak, the betrayal, the regret, the destruction waiting behind that opportunity. You only saw a beautiful entrance. God saw the dangerous ending. Imagine a little child running happily toward a busy highway. The child starts crying because the father grabs his hand. The child thinks, my father stopped my freedom. But the father knows, I just saved your life. Sometimes God treats us the same way. We cry over what He stopped, while heaven celebrates what He prevented. Maybe you lost someone you loved deeply. Maybe a promotion never came. Maybe your business failed. Maybe the answer was no. Not because God didn't love you, but because He loved you too much to let you walk into disaster. Here's something most people never realize. God's protection often feels like disappointment at first, because protection doesn't always look beautiful. Sometimes it looks like rejection. Sometimes it looks like delay. Sometimes it looks like loneliness. Sometimes it even looks like failure. But years later, you look back and whisper, thank you, God. Now, I understand. The Bible is filled with moments where closed doors protected God's people. Think about Joseph. He didn't understand why everything fell apart, sold by his own brothers, accused for something he never did, thrown into prison. Everything looked wrong. Every door seemed closed, but those closed doors were leading to a palace. If Joseph had stayed comfortable at home, he never would have become the man God intended him to be. The prison wasn't the end. It was in preparation, not punishment. Think about David, anointed to become king, yet instead he spent years running, hiding, sleeping inside caves. Imagine how confusing that must have felt. God, you chose me, so why
Am I hiding? Because God wasn't only preparing a king, He was preparing a servant's heart, a humble leader, someone strong enough to carry the crown without being destroyed by pride. Now think about your life. Could it be that God is protecting the future version of you? The version strong enough to handle the blessing you've been praying for. Maybe you're asking for the destination, but God is focused on your character, because character can carry what talent cannot. This world celebrates speed. God values depth. The world says, hurry. God says, grow. The world says, take shortcuts. God says, walk with me. The world says, get there first. God says, become ready. And becoming ready always takes time. So today, instead of asking, God, why did you close this door? Try asking, Father, what were you protecting me from? That one question can completely change your perspective. Maybe the answer won't come today. Maybe not even this year, but one day you'll see that God's no was actually His love in disguise.
There is something most people never notice. God can see 10 years ahead. You can barely see tomorrow. That changes everything, because every prayer you pray comes from limited vision, but every answer God gives comes from perfect wisdom. Imagine standing in front of a massive maze. You only see the wall right in front of you. God sees the entire maze. He already knows which path leads to freedom and which path ends in heartbreak. So when He says, no, it isn't to punish you. It's because He already knows where that road ends. One day, you will thank Him for every door He refused to open. Not because it was easy, but because it saved you from pain you never knew existed. Think about how many times you begged God for something, and today you wouldn't want it, even if someone offered it to you. That relationship you cried over, that opportunity you chased, that friendship you couldn't imagine living without. Today, you realize it wasn't meant for you. At the time, it felt like God was ignoring you. Now, you see, He was protecting you. Faith is trusting God's heart, even when you don't understand His hands. That's what real faith looks like. Not believing only when everything makes sense, but believing even when nothing does. Sometimes God removes people before they betray you. Sometimes He delays success before pride can destroy you. Sometimes He allows silence so you learn to hear His voice instead of the world's, because the greatest gift God can give you is not comfort, it's becoming like Christ, ask yourself, if every prayer was answered immediately, would you still need faith? Would you still seek Him every morning? Would you still depend on Him? Or would you only depend on blessings? Sometimes the waiting keeps your heart close to God. Maybe this season isn't about getting what you want. Maybe it's about becoming who God created you to be. Because blessings can change your circumstances, but God's presence changes your heart. So today, don't only pray, God, open the right door. Also pray, God, close every door that will pull me away from you. That prayer requires courage because it means trusting Him more than your own plans. Remember this, every closed door is not a lost opportunity. Sometimes it's a rescue you don't recognize until years later. And when that day comes, you won't say, God, why did you stop me? You'll say, Father, thank you for loving me enough to say no. If this message spoke to your heart, don't leave without making one decision. Stop chasing every open door. Start following the one who holds every key. Because when God opens the right door, no person can close it. And when God closes the wrong door, no amount of force can open it. Trust Him. Walk with Him. Wait on Him. His plan has never failed, and it never will. Before you leave, write this in the comments. God, I trust the doors you open and the doors you close. One simple sentence can become a declaration of faith. And if this message strengthened your heart, subscribe, because every message here is meant to bring you closer to God, not just closer to answers. See you in the next message. God bless you.